So how many cows?
Huh?
How many?
Well, you can see one of them there,
Yeah.
and you can see the sheep. We got about 8 ewes, and there's, I think, 10 in the cow herd.
And do you, are the sheep for eating, or do you?
Yes.
Yeah. And do you do some dairy in some of your cows?
2 of them, 3 of them are Jerseys, and so we milk those, and some of the milk gets fed back to the chickens or the pigs. We raise a couple of feeder pigs for our own pork.
Yeah.
And this field is alfalfa, so that's another irrigated forage field that's in the farm.
I see.
Our boundary goes over to that other fence across there.
Yeah.
We just included that 10 acres with a boundary adjustment with our neighbor this year.
And your water comes from?
Wells.
Wells?
Yeah. We have 3 wells.
Yeah.
I see some bees over there, beehives over there as well.
Beehives actually don't belong to me. A friend wanted to bring bees in, and I used to raise bees, but you know, there's a limit to the amount of things you can do. Right now there's I think 7. We've got a visitor. We've had quite a few visitors this last month.
Ah, yes.
And so.
And they're mostly the apprentices?
Yeah, so Amy was working on the cart up there.
Yeah.
And
are they allied with a college at all? Or?
Sometimes. This year it's mostly just, you know, people, young people. Most of them actually, that's Keegan. Most of them have been on farms in previous years. And so they have some experience.
And they live here?
Yeah. Yeah, we have some rooms over the harvesting there. And we have a couple of cabins up in there. And we do it's a work trade for education, and so they get a stipend which increases every couple of months as they get more experience and contribute more to the farm.
And they get food off the farm, yeah?
All the food is from the farm, and then we buy high quality organic homely food. That's one of the wells there. That's the one that's pumping this line now. And yeah, that's the greenhouse. We propagate all of the tomatoes and peppers and so on.
The seedlings.
Transplants. It's empty right now, but before long it'll get the winter squash moved in to cure and dry for the winter. We have a little bit of field corn out in that field there. That's grain corn for animals or for corn meal or whatever. And then this field here is the vegetable field this year. And so we have these 2 that are in irrigated forage are in a rotation. They have had vegetables recently, like within the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And then this one is vegetables. This is its 2nd year as a vegetable field.
Yeah.
And then that field there is being prepped for the vegetables for next year. So it's a weed fallow and cover cropping and putting in compost and getting ground already, and then we'll grow vegetables on it for a couple of years. So we have 3 4-acre areas that the vegetables rotate through in the farm, and most of the compost goes into those 3 4-acre areas, but if we have extra, then we take it out on the outlying fields, and so then there's pasture and hay and everything. So this has all been worked with the horses here, and even spreading the compost is done to them. Rough shaping of the beds. You can see they're a little bit of a curve. I didn't get them totally straight. But, so this ground was all gotten ready with the horses, and we've just been transplanting. So this is broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage for the fall. And then it's in these 3-foot rows, and I can cultivate with the horses. So I got one horse going down either side of the row there, and the tool fits in there, and the blades cut the weeds. And this is our worst weed, summer weed, is this purslane, and it's just like it reproduces so rapidly. It's unbelievable. And I've actually dug that stuff up and stuck it out on the road here, and 2 weeks later, on the dry road in the sun, it's still alive. It's almost like a succulent, and it'll reroot. These 2 beds are Brussels sprouts. They were put in earlier, so they've been weeded out, so you can see they're cleaned out. And then down on the bottom there, the bottom half of the garden is row crops. And so there's corn and green beans, and over in the right-hand side is the winter squash. And the corn you can see is different ages. So it's succession planting every 2 weeks.
Yep.
We do another planting because we don't want all the corn at once. We want it over as long of a period, and we want about 6 years per 200 shares. So what is that? This is a class 1 soil. It's actually called Feliz loam in the soil maps.
Oh yeah.
And Feliz means happy in Spanish.
Oh wow.
And it's quite a nice soil. I think it's relatively easy to work with. Yeah, so these are succession plants of lettuce here. We plant about a bed a week of lettuce like that.
And
So this is kind of the summer end of the garden. That was all planted from the spring. We had peas and various oriental greens, stir-fried greens and things in there. And so this is all the summer stuff now. So fungus problems because of the drier climate, fortunately.
And insects.
But beetles would be more the issue around here. And
Eating the fruit.
we do have a few of those, but it's not too bad in the area. We started the tomato harvest. Yeah, the first row is cherry tomatoes, and then there's some earlier type salad tomatoes, and then there's some heirloom tomatoes, bigger ones, beefsteak ones, and heirlooms on the end, and there's one row of paste in there. And down beyond the tomatoes, there's peppers and eggplants. And then there's a bunch of melons on the other side of the squash, so there's cantaloupe, and try to get in a few. We'd like to plant more, but this is a pretty, this is like a steady hustle.
Yeah.
Getting it all in and dodging the frost. And this year we had a late frost pattern, and we had to come out here one afternoon and start covering all these beds of tomatoes with floating row covers. Otherwise, the next morning it was actually ice on things. We would have lost the whole crop. It was already in the ground. We would have lost the tomatoes, the peppers, the eggplant, and some of the squash and some of the melons. But we did succeed in dodging.